Y'all, we're live with Zou. Oh my god, I said it wrong right off the bat. So funny thing, it's Zou, but one time I said Zou just because, like, I'll use the excuse that English isn't my first language, so my tongue gets tied sometimes, but I don't know who it was, but some guy's like, did you just say Zou? I'm like, oh my god. So in other words, we will pronounce it Zou, we'll pronounce it the wrong way throughout the video for more comments. So this is a short arc, but as I was going through it and like finalizing my notes, I was like, this is incredibly dense. There's almost zero plot in this arc. It is all lore and setup, and that makes it an amazing arc somehow, because that's just how One Piece works.
It's pretty good.
The first thing of note is Edward Weevil's son, allegedly, and his mother. And he gets introduced briefly, and then we don't see him at the post arc or anything like that.
Yeah, because it makes you think he's about to be like the villain for this arc or something. And obviously it's like, at this point we just have to be like, okay, is this really Whitebeard's son or not? Like there was a SBS where someone wrote in like, Oda, like, I'm confused, is that Whitebeard's son or not? And Oda said, if you're having that thought, then I'm having the intended effect.
I'm waiting for the gag where we finally address this guy at some point, and then his fake mustache falls off. It's just like a little banana that's stretched, and it's just on his face.
If anything else, he is as strong as fuck.
I also have a theory that he might be like related to one of the Thriller Bark people in some way, like Hogeback. Like,
you know what?
Stitches.
Yeah, I had that same thought because of the stitches. I was like, I don't know.
But yeah.
And then his mom is Miss Buckin.
She is just
Miss Buckin loves the fucking.
She's just the worst person, but that's why I like her.
So we're leaving Dressrosa, headed towards the island of Zou. And I just wanted to grab this little panel because Law is always called the Straw Hats that aren't Luffy, like by code names or nicknames. Yeah. And I think Usopp used to be Sniper. I think it was per position. And now Usopp is getting referenced as God. Even Law knows.
I love that. That's so good.
And then, so we find out that the island of Zou is on top of a giant elephant. What were your thoughts at this big reveal?
Man, I remember thinking back, like, during chapter 200 of One Piece, like, oh my god, how can he keep coming up with such unique ideas for islands? Like, Whiskey Peak, holy shit.
Yeah.
And then, like, I don't know, every single island we've seen since then has just also been more and more creative. And so I'm like, yeah, fuck it, Elephant Island. Let's go.
Why not? We've been reading Stormlight, and there's also a giant island on the back of an animal there. And, like, a giant island on the back of a giant animal is always a recipe for success.
Yeah, lion turtles in Avatar.
But Zou just kind of hits different to me because it's a giant elephant. And look at its eyes. Like, there's something ancient about this creature, and the way Oda draws it, like, really invokes that fact.
Yeah.
And we'll get more about this elephant in particular later. Speaking of cool islands, it was noted that the Sky Island Nami was an island of a bunch of balloons. This almost seems like a jokey answer, but that's it.
That's so cool.
We get introduced to Ryunosuke, the hero of the arc.
Yeah. Oh man, this, like, I was actually getting sad. I actually got really upset.
Funny enough, Ryunosuke is also the name of the main character of the Great Ace Attorney game that I'm recently playing, so these are very different characters. We get a bit of a flash into what's going on with Sabo now that we met him. He's having a good time. I like how he's practicing with the fire fruit. And he just looks cool doing his kick katas over there. I'm excited to see him, like, mastering the fruit, because he got it and then just kind of did basic, like, fire attacks when he got it in the Dressrosa. It also gives us the promise that we will be periodically checking in on Sabo, more so than Ace, because I feel like the Ace check-ins were pretty infrequent. Yeah. But already the next arc, we're getting some Sabo stuff.
I feel like the Ace ones were also like definitely setting up to like tell the story of his downfall.
And you have to imagine that the Sabo ones are also setting up for something. So we'll have to theorize why Oda is showing us the revolutionary chapters when he is. Also, like, dragons, like, I don't want to hear about Luffy. Tell me more about Robin or other shit or the weapons.
Yeah, and I was torn between, like, maybe he just truly doesn't care that much, or maybe he's actively going out of his way to not think that much about Luffy.
I feel like he's trying to avoid his responsibility as Luffy's father for either a deadbeat reason, but knowing it's One Piece, probably for a plot significant reason.
Yeah.
Like, there's a theory that... So Garp is a Marine, but he never wanted to be the head admiral because you have to directly answer to the Celestial Dragons. And Dragon is a revolutionary who is explicitly an organization that wants to take down the Celestial Dragons. So I have to wonder if, like, either Garp's wife or Dragon's wife, aka Luffy's mom, aka Crocodile, was killed by a Celestial Dragon, and... that is where the kind of family resentment for Celestial Dragons comes from, you know?
Yeah.
Something like... There's got to be something to why both of these people... And, like, maybe Luffy reminds him of her, and, like, it's kind of a petty thing like that. Who knows? There's a couple ways that this could go, but there's something there.
Yeah.
So we see that Jesus Burgi shows up here. He manages to chase Sabo, and this will become relevant at the post section of this arc, so we will just touch on that now. Boogie gets shown here. I like the gimmick of him trying to, like, look bigger than he actually is. And there's Mr. 3, our fucking boy. Oh, hey, Alvida. I didn't recognize, like, how cool her outfit looks now. And
Mr. 3 is the man.
Holy shit! What happened to this? The Richie is the lion. So this is Moji.
Moji.
No, Kabaji is this guy. Moji got fat.
Yeah, he did. That's funny. I really like this gag with Buggy, where like all of the Shikibukai and the warlords are huge, or like the emperors are huge. Yeah. Buggy's not that big, so he just gets a big fucking cloak and then throws his arms up and his head up to make him look bigger.
This is very clever. It's such a cool use of his power to, like, re-emphasize his character. It's just really nice. So we find out that there's a ninja coming, or we're going to go get a ninja, and we're immediately getting hyped. Ninjas are so cool.
God, the One Piece meme laser eyes never get old to me.
It is ostensibly Bradley's favorite gag, and it's...
I every single time it is hilarious to
me. Meanwhile, so something's coming down the elephant. I like this attention to detail from this SBS, where there's a tear in Rebecca's cloak, and someone's like, well, Oda, I thought Robin took the hits and protected Rebecca from, like, the iron ball attack that Diamante did. And it's just like she used it to bandage Kairos, and it's like that's a really cute attention to detail.
And like Oda, it doesn't feel to me like he's like a writer writing a story conventionally. It seems like this is actually a living universe being fully simulated in his head.
Yes,
and he is just like recording what happens in it because like. He's thought of everything all the time.
It's so cool, and there's some other stuff that hits that same energy later in this arc. I want to show you an analysis video of how Oda writes characters, and it focuses on Mr. 2 and Senior Pink, and how Oda uses a single character to kind of like answer a way to make a plot point happen, but also invoke the further themes that will then layer themselves later in the story. I'll send that to you later, but
yeah, I want to see
this
that.
guy plans. Kanjuro's a fucking dork, but so this makes it so Kanjuro and Kinemon get knocked down the waterfall and don't get to go up, or not the waterfall, but the leg that they're climbing, which will become relevant because, as we'll find out, there's a bit of a misdirect Oda does with how the island perceives samurai, which I think is a really cool twist that gets revealed near the end. So it's cool to remove the samurai early so that the twist can like happen later. Some patent Robin dark humor. But also, I wanted to point out that we're using damn now instead of darn. We haven't really noted when the transition happened. I feel like it was around the time skip, but like the translator kind of matured up the dialogue.
I feel like it probably happened around Sabaody when like the worst generation is introduced.
Yeah, you get that flick off from Guan. You're like, well, I guess.
I think that's the window. that's what kicked it off. I was like, we're a grown up story now, baby.
Yeah, I feel like as of Skypiea, like the translations had like the original vibe and they were maturing, and then like I feel like around Water 7 Sambodi they really started maturing more as far as the translation goes. Ryunosuke dies.
Dude, like, this is so sad.
Yeah, he was genuinely happy to be alive, and Robin is so torn up about it. Later on, there's a panel where Robin left flowers in Ryunosuke's grave, and I don't think it's commented on it, but you see the flowers where he died, which is just very sad and cute.
And it was just so unexpected. I loved this whole thing.
But, okay, so Law and Zoro go down 1 tier point each. For their callousness towards Ryunosuke.
Yeah, man, I was real torn up about Zoro and Sanji last time, but Zoro he's on thin ice.
Ooh, and we're entering what was known as the year of Sanji, by the way. In real life, Oda marketed this stretch of One Piece as the year of Sanji.
Damn, so we had like year of Luigi, year of Sanji. Yeah, and from what I understand and have read so far, this next arc is like Sanji the arc.
Yeah.
So
I'm very excited as we transition to that. Okay, so the island on top is already cool, but look how cool this place looks too, just in general.
Oh yeah.
With the giant whale, and when we see their main village, it's like actually pretty breathtaking.
This is fucking Animal Kingdom.
All right, I want your thoughts on when you saw Wanda, like wearing Nami's clothes, no less.
So the first thing I did is I turned to this page. And then I immediately got on Discord, and to you guys, I said, "Oh no!"
And then we had some discourse about Carrot. We can save the Carrot discourse for when she joins the boat near the end.
Yeah.
Since she will be more relevant upcoming and later in the arc and in the next arc. So we'll get there when we get there, but oh no is Bradley's answer. Reminder that Law has a crew, and maybe like the worst part of Law's character is how little he interacts with his crew, IMO. He's basically like a VV-esque, Kinemon-esque Straw Hat at this point.
Yeah, I was kind of sad there wasn't more
interaction
moments with Lobby and Bud. Like he'd been separated from his crew so long, I thought they were all gonna be like, yeah, fuck yeah, and they kind of were, but
it was brief.
Law still spent more time with the Straw Hats than with his own crew.
Yeah, they still seem excited to see Law. I still love them, but
I want to get to know them because I'm sure like Beppo is on paper such a cool character, but like on tier list I put him low because he doesn't ever do shit because he like the Law pirates get sidelined in Dressrosa, which is the Law arc.
You know what? That's why Luffy's going to be king of the pirates. It's going to be like when Professor Oak comes to you at the end of the game, and he's going to be like, you were strong, but you didn't love your Nakama enough.
Oh, so he's Gary. Very good.
Yeah.
I like this children drawing of the Doflamingo pirates.
Yeah.
Particularly like how the oldest four obviously came from the shittiest. Like, there's a distinct level of poverty that these three came from, and you got to remember that these three are the ones that like really swore allegiance to Doflamingo and raised him as the evil bastard that he is.
Yeah,
which reinforces that theme just by their design of like the dredge of society also needs their evil villain that they and their pirate king candidate that Doflamingo was.
Yeah. I always love when Oda does these things.
Man, Senior Pink was always handsome and still is.
Yeah, still is.
Just want to touch on the fact that Makino's baby's getting older. Shank's child, as I presume.
Why is Sabo Hat there?
Hey, Sabo Hat is... Well, that makes sense, actually. That actually makes a lot of sense. There's actually more to this than meets the eye, right? Because they probably found Sabo's hat wash up one day, and this is one of the bandits that was like... He was like the nicer of the bandits.
Oh, yeah.
Dan was a harder ass.
Yeah.
And also, this is significant because Dan doesn't come often to the village, so it's cute that she's coming down and seeing, like, Shank's son, I assume.
They also have, like, Luffy's poster blown up in the background there.
Yes. Well, this is a section in which we're going to touch on a couple of the posters as people react to it. And we'll get them as we get there. So I thought this was really good world building. And I feel like it's very appreciable that Oda takes the time to answer some of these questions of like, okay, they live on top of this elephant. How do they get water? Do they have to wait for rain? Or how do fruit grow?
Yeah.
And it's all answered because the elephant has to wash his back with his trunk. Like, what a clever idea. And also, like, if you're going to be this high up, you need to have these kind of questions answered. So, Zunisha is such a cool location. This is really cool also because Jack is, as the antagonist of this arc, has already ties to Luffy in a way because he's part of Kaido's crew and literally was just a couple days ago battling the Navy to try to rescue Doflamingo because he is that important. And like the world's moving off screen, and that's what's fantastic.
Yeah.
Next up we have Nami.
Dude.
No comment.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's great.
I love it.
Damn. And then we get to see their village, and like, how cool is this place, huh?
It's pretty sick. There's so many villages I've seen in One Piece where I'm like, I just want to live there.
Like,
I would go here on vacation. They live in pineapples.
There's a lot of storytelling made, like they use the giant fruits as homes, but also like, what the fuck happened? This ship must have been flipped over by Zunisha one day and landed here, and it's just been part of the village ever since. Stuff like that's really cool. So the minks aren't scared of humans or antagonistic towards them like rumored. But also it's important to note that, remember way back when in Sambodi, we had that list of human races and how much they're worth, and minks were on that list way before they were introduced. Technically, on the same arc they were introduced because that's when we met Beppo, but we didn't know Beppo was a mink.
Yeah.
Which also gives Beppo cool ties to this island, which they do kind of touch on here and there.
Yeah, Beppo's home. Beppo mentions it.
So it's just cool that, like, technically this isn't furry, so you could sleep easy, anyone at home, because they're humans and it would be racist otherwise. What, you wouldn't fuck a fishman, you racist? Okay. I wanted to bring up this panel because in a Super Eye Patch Wolf did a video on One Piece, and he like gave Oda a lot of credit to his paneling, and then Totally Not Mark did a review series of One Piece, and he shat on Oda's paneling, and this is a very important thing, which is like I love to reread One Piece because Oda, I think he's very good at his craft, not only his story like writing, but in his drawings, but also like the craft of creating a weekly chapter, right? With Totally Not Mark, I think what he doesn't like is when there's a lot of word in chapters, and he would put up panels of Dragon Ball Z, or his editor would, where it's like an action shot, and like the page is 3 panels of Vegeta and Goku posing and then looking at each other. It's like, yeah, this is telling the story, but also there's like no dialogue. It's Dragon Ball. It's mostly about action. So in a dialogue-heavy panel like this, as your eye moves from right to left, which is the point that Super Eye Patch Wolf made, you're like, there's like multiple conversations happening in the same panel, but also as your panel moves right to left, time is passing. So like you know the order that these conversations are happening, but there's also like 5 or 6 of them happening at once, and it's just like, that's incredible. Like, that is such props.
Yeah, like I specifically remembered this page because I was like, I just like seeing how these 3 different groups are interacting with each other.
And like the thing is too is like you have like the background going on, that the main conversation is going on, but then you have the foreground where there's still stuff happening. Like you have Frankie and Robin and Chopper all doing stuff here, but like they're not the focus. So like but you're drawn to it. I think it's just a great panel overall. And like Oda has always done this. I wanted to highlight this one because it's the Super Eye Patch one, so it was like always on my mind because I think of this one. And I think as we go, if I was to go back in our series, I'd point out like a couple of other panels where he did this. But like Oda's just efficient. That's what it comes down to. Like he has to get through a lot of dialogue, so sometimes the pages look a little messy. But also like he's very efficient with the way he does things. Just a great artist. Oof. So for some reason, the people of Zou don't like the samurai, and so Zou's a weird arc. Let's talk about the structure of Zou because it's unlike any One Piece arc. It's told in media res
where we start in the middle of the story, and the whole story is like a mystery box of what happened on this island and why do they hate this samurai. Those are kind of the two big mysteries, and then what happened to Sanji, which kind of ties into what happened to this island. So like it's just so fresh to like come from these huge adventure arcs, like Dressrosa's massive like adventure spanning the country and saving the country, to like this arc that is all mystery and all lore. And when you think there's combat, it gets subverted with a one-shot kill kind of scenario.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just really appreciate it. Like, what a refreshing arc.
I remember reading this and going like, man, this is really cool, but like, I was like, I really don't want to go through another like it felt like we were coming to a big fight really soon. And I was like, I really don't want to go through like another big fight like we had in Dressrosa, and I want to move on to like Whole Cake Island or whatever's next. And then the one hit happens, you're like, great.
It is the exact same sentiment that Bradley said back in Jaya. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
He was like, oh, I was worried, like, we were rushing into this Bellamy fight, and I didn't want it to be a big thing, and it was the perfect length, is what Bradley said, and that exact same thing happens with Jack. Despite Jack being ostensibly the strongest person we've run into so far, it doesn't matter, because Zunisha is a fucking beast.
Yeah.
This is just such a good gag.
Yeah.
Just like Oda, just hands off.
They cannot resist a good bone. Double entendre there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is just cool because it's some of the weaker Straw Hats, quote unquote, like fending off and having naval combat, which is rare in One Piece, a manga about pirates to have naval combat. But I love it when it does pop up. And this is, I think, leading us into the flashback of the first part of what happened to Zou, which is the part that relates to the attack of Jack and how the Straw Hats got there. But we'll get there more. I love Chopper's Doctor Squad that he forms in this arc.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
Chopper's upgrade.
Chopper's upgrade is having helping hands.
Yep.
Mr. Miyagi and Tristan.
Mr. Miyagi?
Yeah, that's his name. It's Dr. Miyagi.
It's funny because Mr. Miyagi is the name of the guy in Karate Kid.
Yes. I mean, I don't see the 1-to-1 ratio, but it is funny. Yeah. Joe, wait, did you have a story you wanted to tell about Zou? You mentioned earlier.
Not Zou, but Dressrosa. Okay. I can tell it now or I can tell it at the end. I wanted to tell it at the beginning, but it's whatever.
Oh, stream past that, so let's do it.
Yeah. What do you want to keep going? Or do you want me to tell it real quick?
Whatever you want to go.
Okay, we'll do it at the end because it's a bit of absurdity.
Alrighty. So here is when Law gets to meet his crew, and like they're super happy to see him, and he's happy to see them, but like we needed more. And here's the thing, right? What if we cut out the Colosseum people by like 2 or 3, and then had his crew be part of this arc? But like at the same time, the plot necessitated that they like go to Zou first.
I think also then you then have basically, because when we're at Dressrosa, we had the Doflamingo family, we have the Straw Hat Pirates, we have the world government / Navy, we have the Colosseum folks. That's 4 like
the revolutionaries.
The revolutionaries. So that's 5 like factions, and we like I guess
Tontadas and the people of Dressrosa, the royal family. We can
so like the thing is, if you introduce the law pirates there, I think that's another faction you have to like juggle.
True. Even though it's a whole different. Even like you could have cut out some of the Colosseum fighters, but adding a faction does. Change up the dynamic
And even if the bigger macro scope, it's still Doflamingo family versus everyone else.
Yeah.
That's still like a whole other like pie slices that still need to be dealt with. And then you have to give them adequate screen time to give whatever payoff you want to give them. And I think overall it's just Oda thinks like it's not really worth it because Law is there. And
he truly wrote an impossibly complex arc to handle.
Yeah.
Man, this is so cute. Look how grown up they are.
Yo.
I know. Yeah, I was like, damn, my boys are getting big.
One of these fuckers is named Carrot, by the way.
Wait a second. You did this. You know what? I always get angry in stories with a lot of characters that not a single character's name repeats. I'm like, people's name repeat, okay? It should happen every once in a while.
There should be 2 Willers.
No, there shouldn't. But let's talk about Kaya. She's becoming quite the doctor.
Yeah, man. Let's go.
When
She's out of bed.
Gets back home, shit, man.
When he gets back home, it's on.
It is on. She'll be like, "What that nose do, Soga King?"
Bonk. Nope.
Oh,
come on.
We get introduced to Jack in his mammoth form.
Jack the Drought.
The Drought. He is the first. He's not the first, but he's one of the first ancient Zoans that we've seen.
Yeah, I think he's the second one because we've seen. Wait, is X-Drake?
X-Drake.
X-Drake's the raptor, right?
Yeah.
He's the Allosaurus.
Okay, there you go.
So I think he's probably the second. Well, there's probably someone in Marineford because there's 100.
Yeah, there's a bunch of those.
There probably was a dinosaur.
Also, Sheep's Head is here. We met Sheep's Head earlier. Briefly, he was attacking the Straw Hats, so he's here too. The little monkey mink is trying to like talk sense to Jack, and he just gets one shot. Now, this is the first of a 3-beat of this style of trunk attack, which I noticed on the reread. So I'll point them out as they happen. So it's just, but like, what a savage! Like Jack doesn't like do much, but he's just likable as an imposing force that exists, and you're like, this guy fucks. Also, a billion berry bounty.
A billion berries.
That is twice Luffy's. Has
Jesus.
Luffy ever fought? I guess Crocodile was 3 times his bounty, but goddamn, we're getting high up now. Like,
hell yeah.
We are reaching some serious motherfuckers. We meet Shishilian, who is the counterpart to Pedro that we meet later. Shishilian's with the dog squad. This is an easy to forget gimmick, but Shishilian hates softness. Now, this is something I bring up because there's a very small scene later that I think Oda meant to like really capitalize on this gimmick, and I swear to God, no one realized. I like in any comment I saw, even I didn't realize until I read this. So I guess I'm cheating by telling Bradley to like mentally remember this, because you'll be the only person that realizes it on the first reading. So
let's go.
It's really easy to miss, but I like to throw some of those out. It's very cool that the island was ravaged by Caesar's gas weapon. I think this is just cool because like Caesar being such a pivotal, like Punk Hazard being so important in setting up a lot of the things that we're capitalizing on in all these bigger arcs, and Caesar being one of them as he's connected with everyone. His gas weapon being used by Kaido makes a bunch of sense because he worked directly with Kaido.
Yeah.
It's also cool because then Caesar is used as gas. One of the best cover pages of all time.
Oh yeah, I really like this one.
It's even better in color.
Yeah, man.
That's the one thing about reading on the official Viz. They don't do the colored pages like that.
Well, they eventually do start doing the color pages. For sure.
No, that they start doing them, quote unquote, because that's when the weekly chapter comes out. It comes out with the color page.
Oh, okay.
When the volumes also don't have the color pages, and these are the volume redones.
Yeah.
So one day the color pages that we have in Wano will ostensibly be gone potentially.
Damn.
So here Dog mentions that he knows Shanks, and it's setting up this idea that this dude is a legendary figure in this world, but he's kind of low-key because he lives in an island that not a lot of people go to.
Yeah.
The amount that this dude is legendary becomes much more relevant at the end of the arc.
Oh, yeah.
These motherfuckers know everybody. What do you think of the system of governing this island, Bradley? Because it's very unique.
I remember as soon as they explained like the arrangement between Dogstorm and the cat guy, I was like, it's been so long since they've seen each other that as soon as they do, I was like, they're gonna make up.
It's on. Here's beat 2. Jack goes for the trunk swing and gets effortlessly blocked by Dogstorm. So, fun fact, okay. Dogstorm and Cat Viper are 2 contentious-ass names in the One Piece fan base. And I'm going to educate you, Bradley, in case you ever see their name outside of this context. So, in the scanlations, and everyone who reads the scanlations, they're Inuarashi and Nekomamushi, which are direct translations of Dogstorm and Cat Viper. So you'll often see them called by that. And I guess I can see where people are coming from because it's kind of inconsistent that they're like translated as Cat Viper and Dogstorm. But from what I read, I think they reached out to the editorial department, and they came up with this translation because of that. Because there's a character later on whose name could be translated to Dogtooth, but then they use his other name instead, like his Japanese sounding name. So I do get where people would be confused with the consistency, but maybe this is something that like they reached out to the editorial department and like maybe Oda was like, no, I don't want this to sound like a name. I want it to sound like the two words mashed together. So go ahead and translate it to Dogstorm.
And it also kind of sounds like a pet name almost, like you would call your dog like Viper or Storm.
If they're badasses.
Yeah. But look at him.
If you call your cat Viper, that's an asshole cat. That's one of those cats.
I mean, he is kind of an asshole.
No, he's the sweetest boy.
Yeah, he is.
And Cat Viper also does the same thing, where he just effortlessly takes the trunk attack and flips it. So
also, I think Cat Viper is a dope fucking name, but that's just me.
And like, wasn't Cat Viper's name born from a song that Brooks' Japanese voice actor wrote?
I believe that's true. Oda said that, he had the voice actor or the voice actor create a song or something for it, which is very cool. There's also a song gimmick or a song gag later on in this arc that's pretty funny. But so the Dawn of the World, something that's been coming up more and more, I think since the time skip, or this idea that one day the sun will rise on a new world that is a better world. Kind of like the story of One Piece is essentially the dawn of this world. At least that's like everything that when you look back at the story and try to follow the themes invokes this Dawn of the World theme. But this works on multiple ways because also as the Night King, he's always awaiting for the day to where he like his shift's over kind of scenario. Yeah. So I think that's cool because it works on both ways. But we will talk more about this dawn. Maybe the D means dawn or dusk. I think we mentioned that last time. Here's Jack's human design. Still cool as shit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he looks fucking awesome. So when I was reading this for the first time, I temporarily got him and the alleged Whitebeard son confused because they both were super strong guys who had this I don't know. I guess I thought his horns were mustaches for a second and I was like,
You were like, man, Weevil looks cooler than I remember from a couple.
Yeah, that's how I caught myself. I was like, wait, no, I remember him looking
like a fucking weeb.
Yeah, like a stupid.
This is like one of my favorite world building bits in a hot minute because of Doflamingo being defeated by Luffy is the only reason why Jack left the island because he had to go on the attempted rescue.
Man,
like, it's such a living, breathing world where Oda is really simulating this, and like Luffy offhandedly saved Dogstorm and Cat Viper from getting tortured to death. And when you see the torture that they had to go through, the end point of that was death.
I think also it lets Loda like really show the ripple effect that this had, like you mentioned. It just like because it's hard to like, oh, he saved everyone to Dressrosa and then now they're free. It's like, all right, who cares? And then, but it's more personal when it's like it involves our characters and sets our characters up for more success.
Shit, near the end of this arc, we're setting up for the Reverie, and it's like already we're hitting up the royal family again for more stuff. So like post time skip One Piece is like just a mass of characters and plot lines interweaving, and you really can lose track of things. And so it really rewards like very careful reading because like so much shit is happening.
It's a much more straight story, linear story, I would say, because of how it's set up compared to One Piece back in pre-time skip where it was pretty much
where they're literally going from island to island with the log pose. I think it's way more like webby now.
I know what I mean is that it's linearly connected. Like what we're doing in Punk Hazard goes all the way through the current storyline, correct?
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, when we go to like Alabasta, Skypiea, they're not necessarily like Alabasta doesn't necessarily connect directly to Skypiea.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I guess like the word linear implies like more simple, but I see what you're saying.
No, and linear means like just like the idea that there's a straighter line that you could go to connect everything for me. Whereas like
Shit, I mean, stuff from the pre-time skip is only now, like, Vivi stuff is only now becoming relevant, you know, in the hundreds of chapters.
And I don't know if Bradley knows this, but that's a big point of, like, why people don't really enjoy post-time skip is because you lose out on that adventure kind of free feel of, like, oh, now we just happen to go to this island, and now we're dealing with this, and we have to
it is way more plot-focused now, which I feel like it's especially bad on a weekly read. For Bradley, it's probably not as bad because he can just do these in chunks and, like, probably has a better scope of, like, everything happening. But for some people, like, Dressrosa was years ago, and they're like, wow, we haven't seen, like, because now Sanji and Zoro are separating these arcs. They're like, we haven't seen Zoro and Sanji in 5 years. Yeah. And, like, for Bradley, it's going to be, like, a couple of months. So it's very different when you're reading it as a one go.
It's like, for me, knowing ahead of time, like, oh, I'm going into the longest arc in One Piece, or, oh, I'm about to go into one of the shortest arcs in One Piece. It's like, I can know ahead of time whether or not this arc is going to overstay its welcome. Yeah. But if you're going weekly, you're like, okay, am I going to be dealing with this arc for another month or 5 more years?
Yeah, like Wano right now, Oda could end it in, like, a couple of volumes, or he could, like, hit a point where there's, like, a whole nother layer to the plot and we just don't know.
And it's in that 5-act structure I think we mentioned to Bradley before, where like Act 3, and we're like, I don't fucking know when this is going to end.
I think it'll just be 3 acts. Who fucking knows?
I think the first, like, concrete thing I ever heard about One Piece was probably like a year or 2 ago. I heard Wheeler saying, "Oh, the current arc of One Piece is constructed like a play."
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Oh man, that's still going."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we've been there.
Yeah.
Man, look at this shit. They got fucked. This is gruesome for One Piece.
He lost a hand and he lost a leg.
Yeah.
Like,
and Jesus. Like they're Edward Elric combined.
Yeah.
Like,
Man, like this moment, and also like the visuals of what happened to Law and his brother and father a long time ago.
Yeah.
I was like, these are some gruesome ass images.
What do you think of, like, the torture that they had to go through and, like, their unwillingness or their insistence? Like we know the real twist, right? But did you believe them when they said the samurai wasn't here, when they're going through all this?
I truly believed them. And then whenever we got the news that the ninja actually was here the whole time, that immediately tells me it's not just that they're good people. Them and this ninja are like fucking family.
Yeah.
So, like, on a weekly read, the Raizo is safe chapter sticks with a lot of people because they were fucking floored. This is One Piece where we theorize every single detail. Somehow Oda convinced a lot of people that Samurai just straight up isn't here. And, like, part of it is the fact that they got this brutalized, and it's like, if you don't know how the arc is going to end and that Jack is going to fight Luffy in this big, like, multi-volume, like, combat, you're like, well, they're just setting up Jack to be so despicable where he will find, like, he will try to find this truth and where it doesn't exist, and he will just inflict violence no matter what. And then you find out, like, no, actually, they, like, Jack was just wrong and they were lying. Or, like, Jack was right and they were lying. And it's, like, such a good twist.
Yeah, that's like why Jack was so persistent. He probably had very good reason to believe the ninja was here.
Good point. Let's talk about that someday. Not today.
Right.
I just like Nami's hand-to-hand combat is not often seen, but this is pretty hot. I like this. Yeah. And like Wanda seems to be fairly like competent and strong, so like for Nami to be able to hand-to-hand a competent mink is like, Nami's not a pushover. She's just a coward.
Yeah, she's sitting there.
So
football chapter.
This, like, I was talking about the structure of Zou and how good it is, and like we go from real time to the Mink flashback to real time to the Sanji flashback to real time. Mm-hmm. So like, how did you feel about like the fact that like a lot of this arc is told in flashback? Did you feel like we were getting too much show don't tell, or like I thought it was like really well handled actually?
I thought it was pretty well handled because like. We took so long to go into this flashback because we were able to have that mystery arc feeling of the beginning. And then now it's like, okay, well, I know you've been wanting to see what these Straw Hats were up to off screen, so you're finally going to get it.
Go ahead, Joe.
I was like, when I was reading this, I was like, man, it takes a long time for us to get into these flashbacks about what happened here. Mm-hmm. Like we spent a good while of just like looking and seeing the aftermath And there's a point I forgot to mention when we were going through the aftermath portion, but like Robin's the one that points out that like this only happened like 3 days ago.
Yeah, it was recent.
And I mentioned this to Willer, where it was like people say Robin doesn't do anything or doesn't have any moments where like she has these dark humor moments in Zou, and then like is able to use her archaeological knowledge here as well. I'm like, this is the stuff I want.
We say it all the time. If it's not a fight, One Piece fans don't give a fuck.
It doesn't fucking count.
And you know what? I'm gonna put myself. I'm gonna talk about Chopper later. And put myself a bit on blast because I'm a little too harsh on Chopper for a similar reason as to Robin. But we'll get there when we get there. Anyways, I also think they do a really good job at like, despite just showing us and not telling us, or I guess they're showing us very quickly, but like, you immediately get the sense that like the Straw Hats and Caesar really spent some valuable time with the Minks in those days. And like, you get why when you come back, like Wanda and Nami are such good friends, and like Brooke is so acquainted with like everyone else, you know, like you get the sense that like, yeah, they had some fun adventures here. Fun as in like saving his life.
Fun.
But like they bonded, even though we didn't have to see it. Like Oda sells it, so like there's already an emotional connection with these characters, despite we get it all in flashback. Just like fairly well handled, like mid storytelling. I just think it's so weird that Genzo has Nami's poster. I guess he's covering the boobs now, which is better than last time. So I guess it's not creepy anymore.
God, that poster. I think about it.
I know. Damn.
Damn.
I was just like, I really miss Nami. She's so. I feel like Nami's so stealthily good in every arc that she's in, because like the last time that we had Nami, Nami was actually a really big part of Punk Hazard, but like that was her most selfless arc yet. Like she really latched onto those kids, and she made it her mission to save those kids. Just like how like Frankie kind of took ownership of the whole like Tontada situation. Nami took ownership of the children back then. So it's been a while since we've seen her flaws, which is like her money grubbing side. So it's just like, when people say Oda is like, oh, the characters like are getting enough character moments, or like they feel different than they used to before, like too drastically, it's just like the story is such a large story that we're just getting this kind of stretched out because there's just so much happening. But like, it's all there. Like no one's gonna remember this scene when they're bitching about Nami in like when we have it like on a weekly reader who hasn't seen Nami for like maybe 13 chapters because she just hasn't done anything in that part of the arc is gonna be like, man, Nami's just not the same. They're not gonna remember this because like the recency bias of reading weekly is too strong, and like it really annoys me.
And because like we used to have a much smaller crew in a much smaller setting, like we would generally have like a panel or page of each Straw Hat doing something or exposing their personality in some way. But we don't get that anymore because we have just so many other characters we're dealing with.
Yeah, and like talk about recency bias. I remember like in the super old character polls, Usopp might be like 10th or 11th place. Yeah. And then after Water 7, he was like fucking first or second. And then the very next character poll, he was down to like 14th.
Yeah, you want to talk about recency bias? Carrot getting number 8 all time in the most recent like worldwide poll was nuts.
That's insane.
Another character that they were introduced like 3 to 4 weeks before the poll, but they had such a good character design and gimmick that everyone like they got like what 6, Joe? Or
they got 8th. No, not 8th. They were in the top 10. They got like 11th or something.
Which
like
I am so against. Because we had just met that. The recency bias is annoying, and my thesis statement is more of y'all motherfuckers need to reread One Piece, okay?
Yeah.
Or at least a couple of arcs before.
I don't think I've said the word thesis statement since high school.
I'm sure you have.
My thesis statement is...
In this essay, I will talk about how good Caesar is. I'm playing both sides, so I always call him out on top. That is... Yeah. Caesar as a character, playing Big Mom and Kaido, and just being this like this. He's so lucky the Straw Hats found him and not a Big Mom pirate or a Kaido pirate. He would be so dead.
He'd be obliterated. Man, what a clown!
What a clown! I love this guy, but he's also. Who would have thought that Caesar would still be part of the story, right, Bradley? Like.
Yeah,
he's been with the crew and has like character moments with the crew and like gimmicks and like character relationships. It's just kind of unexpected that he's this important, but you gotta love it. Peckham shows up and has a big debt to Luffy. We met Peckham's back in Fishman Island, which is coincidentally the first arc where Luffy starts his beef with Big Mom from way back when. And we also get to see Capone. Were you excited to see Capone, Bradley? Because we haven't really seen him in an arc ever.
Yeah, because like sometime after the time skip, we got like a very brief 1 to 2 panel glance of like where all the worst generation were. But I've been waiting for that moment where like they truly become like prominent in an arc, and we got that with Law pretty early on. But I was like, I want to know what the rest of these fuckers are doing.
Well, here's the second boy to show up. We got Gangbang Capone, who, as you'll recall, back when we first met all of the Supernovas, I said he was immediately the one that caught my attention the most, aside from like Law. So the fact that he showed up around this time of the story, and I was also not reading this portion. I read all of Zou and all of Whole Cake Island in one go, and it was glorious.
Yeah, because you said you took a break after Dressrosa, right?
Yeah, well, I think I probably read like half of Whole Cake and then the other half or something like that. Anyways, yeah, Peckham's will become more important as he stays behind and starts having some character moments with Luffy.
Hey.
The smartest man in One Piece. You got 2 seconds before my men point C Prism Stone shotgun skywards and pull the trigger. I'm like, holy shit!
I was like, yeah, like, who couldn't he take in like that, you know?
And then you find out it was a fucking lie.
Yeah.
Already a good introduction or reintroduction to this character. And also good because if he did have multiple sea stone shotguns, it would have been a little world breaking. Sea stone bullets need to be really hard to produce and really infrequent for this story to work in any way, shape, or form. And I think Oda knows that. Yeah. So instead, he has a sea stone spear. Cool. Very good.
Yeah.
Were you excited about this setup that we got right here?
Yeah. So yeah, I was interested because I'm like, even before seeing this woman, I was like, this is like the end goal for Sanji, right? So I was just really interested. I didn't know if like the surprise was him knowing this woman already and like being scared of who she was, or if he just didn't like the idea of doing what his family says. There was a lot to learn here, but immediately, no matter what the scenario was, it's an interesting setup.
Did you ever think we would get more Sanji information after so many chapters?
Man, I wasn't like actively thinking we were gonna get it. It wouldn't have surprised me, but I wasn't sitting here thinking like, man, when are we gonna get the Sanji family background?
I completely agree. And this kind of opened up the fucking Pandora's box of what Oda can do with the Straw Hats. Because there's so many, like, it makes me think that we will one day, like, learn more about Nami's actual parents because she was found in an island and Bellemere had to rescue her in a war-torn island. Or we're gonna find out about Brook's time as a Kingsman in the kingdom in the West Blue that he's from. Or I don't know, maybe we'll find out some shit about Frankie during his time as like a street urchin. Like there's all these things that this opened up that like we can like there's so much about Zoro that I feel like we could find out because like all we know about Zoro has like the least detailed backstory, and Wano's an arc about samurai. So I'm like, are we gonna get more Zoro content? Because it's like Zoro is just a kid in an island training to be a swordsman whose friend died and he vowed to be the greatest swordsman. The end. I'm like, wait, I feel like there could be more there. What about his time as a bounty hunter? Like, what if he, like some interesting shit went down there? That is.
I want to know if like little kid Chibi Zolo had a favorite meal that he would ask his mom to make him.
Well, we'll find that out for certain other characters, won't we?
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Anywho, well, also, what did you think? Like, do you have a vibe for this Vinsmoke family and how they talk about them?
I think just hearing the name Vinsmoke, I was like, that's an intimidating ass name.
Cool ass name.
It's a pretty fucking cool name. But also, like, just mentioning a family name, I think already implies that this is a very prominent, powerful family, because like if someone comes from a family of nobodies, you wouldn't say like of the Johnson family. If like, you know, like announcing that third of the Vinsmoke family is like, oh, this is a like prestigious or powerful line.
Yeah, and a couple of other things to note, like this family is also marrying into the Charlotte family. So for a Yonko or a emperor to be interested in a marriage with this family and them having them reaching out to be like, Sanji, we need you to close this deal for us, like that implies certain things as well of like if they're able to close deals with an emperor, that implies a certain level of prestige or power. Also, keep in mind, Sanji is the only bounty we have ever seen in One Piece with an only alive, not dead or alive.
Yeah, I remember seeing that, and I was like, I knew some shit had to be going on in the background.
More just things to consider. I will get any screenshot of when a Straw Hat says Luffy will be Pirate King. It's just kind of mandatory because it's the hype.
Oh yeah, you got to do it.
And I think every Straw Hat has done it at this point. Or at least as far as I've read, every Straw Hat has done it. So Sanji is just great this entire sequence, handling this situation and like being cool, like cool-headed and sacrificing himself for the crew so that they don't have to deal with like Beige right now because there's more shit going on. And he's like, I'll just go do this wedding. I'll be back eventually. Or that's the promise he makes, but we'll see how that pans out. And also he says, don't move. You know who I've got backing me up now, don't you? So it's like, you know I'm a Vinsmoke. You don't actually want to hurt me, so I have the leverage here. So it's like, what the fuck? Okay.
Oh, damn.
And there's the note he leaves. I'm gonna meet a woman. I will be back.
Man. And like, what a contrast between the top and bottom where Brook is like, he doesn't intend to return, but Sanji's note is saying that he does. So it's like you have to wonder, is like Sanji just trying to make them feel better? Or I don't know.
When I read this, I immediately thought like, no, Sanji has no intention to come back.
Yeah.
I think it's a situation where it's like, Sanji's like, if it's this dire that they need me, I don't think I'll be able to come back, but I'm going to lie.
Yeah.
And Brook and Nami are like, no, like we are able to immediately see that this is no joke.
Let's take a pause.
Let's.
Okay. I'm going to make a new room.
Oh, yeah, that's probably a good idea. Yes.
And we're back. Okay. We're making our way. Zou is very short, but very dense, so I was like, this is probably going to be the same length as, like, our Dressrosa talks. This is just funny, because Brooke makes this, like, nice song about Cat Viper, and then she's like, wow, that's a really nice song. Does he like that? He's like, nope.
Yeah, and I think this is the song that, like, Oda was talking about.
Yeah.
It's an image song.
What does that even mean? Well, he definitely invoked the image. Look, like Nami's looking up. You have to imagine, like Brook can make hallucinations with his music, so you have to imagine, like they're feeling the vibe of the Cat Viper.
He reaches into their soul.
Yeah, that.
What is Luffy looking at? Oh, he's looking at Sanji's letter.
Yeah, he's trying to read, and then he's like, well, I don't really know how to read. This is proof that Luffy can read, by the way, even though it's really hard. So I really like this small detail. Luffy is very receptive to the Straw Hats having like spouses, but he's like, well, it's a new crew member.
Yeah.
So like if say putting one into one day sail on the ship, Luffy would be okay with it.
I'm sure Frankie can like whip up some sort of like marital space.
Yeah.
I'm sure he already has the bang room where he goes with Robin.
Oh yeah.
Zoro's staying the king of harsh facts, but also summarizing the journey that we've been through for the weekly readers of like, holy shit, we've been doing this plot line since Punk Hazard, and like every step of the way is new shit.
I like that they don't know what Kaido looks like, so it's just like a blob.
Yeah.
It's not like Kaido's. It's not Kaido's face because we've been introduced to Kaido already because we've seen him fall out of the sky. So we just get this little man that looks like Doflamingo.
Wait, it's Doflamingo shadowed. We've surprisingly though we meet Kaido before Big Mom, but we do Big Mom before Kaido, so that's kind of interesting. Well, technically, like I guess
get Shadow Big Mom, where we see her in like shadows and stuff.
But we officially meet her in when Whole Cake really starts. I thought this was just a really good argument that's being made where, like, everyone's making good points, where Zoro's like, that stupid twirly eyebrow is really bringing down Big Mom on us when we're specifically on a mission to go fight Kaido. We cannot handle 2 emperors. It's genuinely impossible. Even the Marines couldn't handle 2 emperors. They were like, as soon as Shanks shows up and they're exhausted, like, all right, we're out of here. We're done.
Yeah.
So, like, Sanji is kind of fucking up the plan big time and potentially putting all their lives at risk, but Nami's also making the point where it's like, you don't get to say how important other people's problems are to the crew. And I don't know, this is just such an interesting scenario because Robin left the crew in very strict duress, and also she wasn't integrated into the crew yet in her heart. Sanji's been a straw hat for like so long and spent 2 years in hell, quote unquote, for him for the sake of the Straw Hats, and now he's having to leave. And like, it's an echo of Whole Cake or Water 7, but it is kind of like it's just played pretty differently, where Sanji's kind of handling both like the Robin and Usopp role, as it were, as far as like leaving the crew for personal reasons. Okay, this is another one where this is an extremely minor detail in this page, specifically Zoro saying that the minks heal fast. It's so minor that I don't think what I'm saying is even relevant or real, but I think Zoro might, or not Zoro, Joe might know why I bring this up, just stuff that's happened recently that might be answered by this panel, maybe?
Yeah.
But I'll just bring it up. Remember the other thing I mentioned over this, but like if you happen to remember it in the far future, then good for us. Pedro gets introduced. I think it's worthy to note Pedro because he's coming along with us in Whole Cake, so he's going to be sailing with the crew for a little bit. Let's go!
Oh, man.
Yeah. Horny Chopper.
Dude, Chopper got hose.
Yeah.
You got hose. The end game is Usopp and Kaya and Chopper and this reindeer lady.
Chopper also confirmed not asexual.
Oda made it a point that Chopper just doesn't really have an attraction to the female girls or like that he runs around. But hey, a nice little furry woman, awooga.
Yeah, and I think someone noted in an SBS that, like, wait a minute, isn't that weird? And it's like, oh, wait, no, like, reindeer are the one species of deer where the females get antlers, so...
Wait, doesn't he have antlers?
Well, they both get
They both get
to ram each other.
Yeah.
Damn.
I know. It's going to be nice. And also, he's got his nurse assistant. Chopper,
he got Squirrel Girl.
Chopper has bitches. Okay, I wanted to apologize to Chopper, and the reason something I saw recently made me appreciate Chopper more. Chopper is strong, and he showed himself to be strong, and like early in the series he proved himself with combat. So in the post time skip where Chopper doesn't get a lot of combat focus, it's easy to say that Chopper doesn't get to do anything, but I've been really harsh, and like maybe you guys will agree because I feel like we've been harsh together on Chopper.
Yeah.
So maybe you'll jump in on me, or with me. But like Chopper gets a lot of like personal and professional growth throughout the post time skip where he's like, sure, like we don't get to see him have to like sit down and solve doctor problems, which I think is actually what would like really seal the deal with Chopper for me, is like if there's an arc where Chopper has to like command people into this complicated way of rescuing people as a doctor, as opposed to kind of like doing it off screen or doing it in between chapters kind of scenario. But the point is, like, professionally, he's been kick-ass in the post-time skip because he took care of the kids. He took care of the fishmen. When Luffy needs to do the blood transfusion with Jinbei, Chopper's doing it. Despite Law being in the crew, Chopper's definitely shown his own as a doctor.
Yeah.
But also, like, in so many arcs, Chopper has been the one who kind of takes control of certain situations, while, like, he was such a little brother in the pre-time skip where, like, you'd kind of have to order Chopper to go do things sometimes, like, and, like, it really started around Hogback where, like, he really takes onus of, like, the situation, and that's really been happening in every arc that Chopper's in the post-time skip. It's not always the biggest plot point, but he's very much an active character now, as opposed to kind of more passive in the past.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, Chopper. You're not. I shit on you too much. You're probably still bottom Straw Hat, but the gap is very small for me.
Yeah.
And then we meet the fucking cat singing about lasagna, and it's just like, okay.
Goddamn Garfield motherfucker.
Also, how's he holding his spoon? Oh wait, it's tied. Okay, I see it.
Yeah.
Firmly grasp it.
This is just a really funny gag to me. Oh, there's a ball. Ooh, a ball. Blah!
Yeah. This happens a lot. He just totally gets fucking wasted trying to do stuff.
Just like the instant shock of pain.
Like, that's what a cat would do. Like, a cat would know it's injured and then attempt to keep doing its life.
Yeah.
And then die.
And Chopper has his hand full with all these minks. Like, that's another cool aspect of Chopper in this arc, is like, he's the responsible one among all these foolhardy idiots. It's very good. Luffy's refreshingly smart here, where he's aware that, like, I'll go alone. If we go all in together, it's going to be declaring war. I'm going to go in as, like, a stealthy motherfucker and get Sanji back. Like, sure, first of all, sure, Luffy, sure you're going to be stealthy. But second of all, that's really smart and level-headed.
Yeah.
I got this party panel specifically for Joe. And,
yeah.
And you can see why.
Yes.
All right,
I
cool.
do.
Also, on a second note, a Chopper's doing the fucking thing with the nose. That's very good.
So they released these Sanji Food War comics.
And
and
I need to read at some point.
Yeah, in the latest one, they make a joke about this because the latest one set in Alabasta, like right after they free the country, and King Cobra was like, Chopper, you had a joke for me you wanted to show me. He's like, yeah, I need 2 chopsticks to do it.
Oh, that is okay. I gotta read those. Okay. Side note: One Piece is growing into this thing where like other manga artists will sometimes do bonus chapters that flesh out the world, because the world's so fleshed out already that like you can just kind of have side stories, and like that's such a creative way to do it, to like not have a Boruto, but have like people just occasionally make One Piece chapters. Like, another one is Ace's like backstory is being told by the guy who draws fucking Dr. Stone. He does Ace chapters that you're free to read now, by the way, because it's like, you're way past anything.
Like, obviously, Ace isn't going to do anything else.
Well, I will say Ace's legacy is still important, but I don't think they do any of that.
Yeah.
This is just cute because the adult trio's like, we must be the ones to keep stuff in control. And then they all fall asleep the next page.
Yeah.
But that's cute. Okay, what do you suppose is going through their head? Let's play a game. What are they thinking of when they look at this poster of Frankie?
I was worried they thought Frankie kept replacing parts of his body until he became fully cyborg.
Dude, I think the joke is they're like, oh my, Frankie, what have you done?
I love how the left side of the screen is horrified and the right side I think it's the funniest thing ever.
Yeah.
That's so good. Also, Lulu has more spikes now. This is getting out of hand.
Yeah.
Look how much she's grown. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And everyone has their favorite like side One Piece characters that are less important, and Iceberg is probably one of mine. If y'all can think of yours, I like
probably Miss Golden Week.
Oh shit!
I liked her cover story a whole lot.
Who you got? Minor character you really like? Go. Oh wait.
I this is a lot of pressure on me. I can't think. I think Iceberg off the top of my head.
He's really cool.
Yeah.
Another good one I like is
I like seeing the windmill people, all Windmill Village. I always like seeing them because there's something very wholesome about your hometown village being so happy to see you, or like just hear any news of you.
I actually like a lot of these minks too. They really endear themselves on me. Okay, we talked about the big twist, but holy shit, even the Straw Hats are freaking out. They're like, what? This is a plot twist for everyone involved, including the characters. But it's also cool because like Cat and Dog are fighting, and Momo shows up. He's like, why are you guys fighting? You used to be friends. And they're like, wait, what? Also, interesting that they, like, seem to know Momo, and Momo seems to know them. But then, like, but Momo's only 8. And how long did they say that these guys have been fighting? Does Bradley remember?
I mean, I think all I know is years, but I don't know if they said how many years.
either way, Momo would have been a baby when they like were friends. I think it says it's 20 years, so he wasn't even born. So it must be stories or something. Like there has to be some way that like it's not a plot hole. And I'm sure we'll get to it.
When I was reading this arc, and like I think like even though we say it has a very different tone or very different structure to it, going through this arc, like tone wise, it felt like a One Piece arc, and it felt like, oh, okay, blah 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 blah. We're setting up. Well, Jack's probably going to come back, but when we get to this page here, like I feel like that there's just a big tonal shift in both like exposition and like what the importance of this arc is.
Oh, we are about to enter the deepest lore dump in all of One Piece so far, and it is so glorious. The next few chapters are just like hit after hit after hit. But I totally agree that like we shift here. Yeah, it's just like twist after twist where it's like Momo knows them, and like Luffy's the emotional mastermind that he always is. He finds out Momo's is the Shogun, which by the way, did you predict that like first of all, Kinemon is not Momo's dad and Momo's the Shogun of Wano? But also, it explains so much with, like, why so much importance was placed on Doflamingo finding these samurai, even though they seem like side objectives. Like, it was so important that we capture them because we could stop a whole rebellion if we just cut these guys off. But then also, like, certain scenes with Momo and Kinemon hit different once you know this. Like, there's this scene where they're eating Odin after Punk Hazard, and I think it's Kinemon I think it's Momo who's hesitant to eat it. Yeah. And Kinemon says, Momo, aren't we allowed to like not grieve and like enjoy life a little bit? Like something to the effect of like we need to keep living. And you find out that Momo's father was called Odin and was killed tragically in the past. So it's like, oh, that scene was set up from way back when, where Oda knew that like this kid's name would be Odin, and that like it would be an emotional moment for them to like let loose, and like even though they have this burden on them to save their country, that they need to like take it one step at a time and like live a little while they're doing it and not just be stressed out the whole time. Just like Punk Hazard hits different with this reveal is all I'm gonna say. The voices come up a lot in this arc. It's come up in the past, but it's going to be a really big thing when Zunisha starts going off. They also mentioned there was another man who once said the same thing. Yeah, that reminded me of him too. Do you have any predictions of who this other man is?
I don't know.
All right.
All right. Well.
Woo.
Nah.
Oh.
Okay.
Raizo,
big head.
So,
Man.
Is Raizo exactly the ninja you were expecting?
He looks interesting. That was a page turn. But it was less surprising than when I first met the other samurai besides Kinemon.
Kanjuro? Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was more surprising.
This every man loves ninja bit is so fucking funny. And then
I love how they're like, do all these ninja things, and he's like, I'm not gonna do that, and then they start losing interest, and he does all of them at once.
Yeah, it's like even the funny thing is, even Zora and Law, who shadow my boy Ryunosuke, they're still men. They can't deny the fact that they love ninjas. I like Zora's hide behind a ceiling and get stabbed by a spear. And then I think it's more that they get upset that he's not like doing ninja shit, and then he's like, fuck it, ninja extravagant, and like even Lost freaking out. Everyone's like, let's go.
Yeah.
Raizo.
Fun fact, Raizo has a devil fruit, but we don't get to see what it is yet.
Oh shit, I wonder if it's the mist fruit.
Maybe. This is just one of the funnier SBSs for some reason.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, they're gonna be trouble. Akaino's standing right behind me. What should I do?
And I love how he drew the little 45 degrees, like it's some technical.
It's really important, or else you're gonna get a magma fist through the chest. Okay, roll credits. We finally get the name of this series. It's called Road Poneglyph. Congratulations, Bradley.
Yeah, I've been sitting here like, man, any arc now, I'm going to hear the words Road Poneglyph in that order.
So, to summarize what the Road Poneglyphs are, they are 4 red poneglyphs that, when combined, give you the coordinates of where Raftel is. the final island. So it's not the last island of the Grand Line, like I think a lot of the characters and readers thought. In fact, the last island is called Lodestar Island, and hopefully one day there's cool shit happening there. But Raftel is a different island. However, it's mentioned later in this arc that once you get to Lodestar Island is genuinely where you're going to find out the truth about these poneglyphs, so they took a little bit of a shortcut here.
I got to this page and went, oh, we're actually entering, like, in the grand scale of the series, we're actually entering the end of One Piece.
No, I actually was thinking of this as I was going through this. You are officially in late One Piece, Bradley, and I feel and like you really feel it when you get to this page where it's like, wait, there's an end in sight. Not only is there an end in sight, in a couple of pages they're going to mention that they know where two of them are. They're with Big Mom and Kaido, and we're already fighting Big Mom and Kaido. So it's like, wait, we're already getting most of them. Like, we're only missing one because we have this one. We're fighting Big Mom, and we're headed towards Kaido, and then we just have to find a last one that I suspect Shanks has. Or something like that. We're also, so we called ourselves the Road Poneglyph because we were trying to come with like street roundabout style names. And then Road Poneglyph is the coordinates to the final destination of One Piece, which is why our little segment where we catch up with Bradley is called the Road Poneglyph.
There you go.
That's it. We're done. Podcast's over.
All right, we did it.
I want to discuss this because stuff has come up about this. Do you need 4 coordinates to get the center? People posit that you only need 3. And Bradley's good at geometry and shit. And I see why you don't. I see why 2 is not enough because it could be anywhere within that line. But once you get 3, I could see that being enough.
Simple geometry.
But the thing is that you don't know which X needs to connect directly to the other X. Because like they might not be set up like this square.
You know, you has to make a cross.
Right, but like it could be like this X goes here, but then this X needs to go to like directly between those 2 X's on the left.
I think that makes sense. The only way you can get away with 3 is if it's like less of an X and more of a plus sign. Like you have to have 4 right angles for you to be able to do it with 3.
I mean, shit. In this picture, it looks a little but I also think that the joke is the X marks the spot.
It is an X marks the spot, but like you also have to think about like let me bring up MS Paint.
Yeah, I think if it's 4, if it's 4 right angles, you can get away with 3. But if that's not the case, and you don't know that's the case, you would need 4.
If it is 3, a lot of people posit that the last coordinate is not actually position based; it's time or elevation based.
Ooh, and so I also think Joe's right that if you only have 3 points, you don't know which one is supposed to go with the other one.
To bring it down to 2 potential.
So here's the deal.
Hold on.
Right.
All right, this is important.
Okay, so you can see my screen, right?
This is right. This is a fun little bonus.
Yeah. So like, let's say here's our X, and here's our X. Right. Yeah. All right, we got 3 of them. Let's find it. All right. So do we connect these 2 together and go this way? Do we connect these 2 together and go this way? Do we connect these 2 together and go this way? And then do we go this way on this line? Do we go this way on this line? It doesn't have to be directly like across.
Well, no, you don't have to take those. I mean, that last point, your first point, I agree with. That last point, like, it has to connect to the other X.
Right. It has to cross this line.
Yeah, but really it makes a triangle or, like you don't know where the cross point is. But actually, you're right. What is this, 3 permutations of where it could be then?
It's nearly infinite.
No, I think it's strictly 3 permutations because it has to be the midpoint.
It doesn't have to be the midpoint. That's the problem.
No, you're absolutely right.
Because it could also be like, oh, it's here.
What I'm forgetting is where the 4th point is.
Yeah. Which could go like there.
Yeah.
So that's why you need 4. And part of it's supposed to be X marks the spot.
And it's like you gotta realize like these X's could be very, very far apart.
Yeah.
And even like adding a single extra permutation with how dangerous it is to move around in the One Piece world in the new world, like it's just hard to get to.
The what we saw before, like it's a very simplified version of what that looks like. It's to show that like, oh, here's the idea. that doesn't mean they are directly across like 90 degrees from each other. And I think that's where that comes up, where it's like, no, like islands aren't laid out in a grid on the grand line. They're randomly associated from each other.
You know, when oars place them.
Yeah.
As my theory goes.
And like even looking here, this could be just a spot in the middle of the ocean too.
Yeah, it is.
And,
I mean, like based on how this drawing goes, like it doesn't look like there's land there. So who knows?
Yeah. How do I go back to where I see you at the center again? Oh well, keep going.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that I did this as a discussion. If anyone ever asks about, you only need 3 because you see this all the time on Reddit and Twitter. So I'm glad we talked about it.
Yeah, that was fun.
And here it is. Like we're gonna fight Big Mom and Kaido, and they have 2 of the 4, and we have 1 of the 4 here. So we're just like. Do you get that? Like when we got to this point as readers, like because we've been doing it for years. Joe, you got to catch up very quickly. So does Bradley. But for us, it was like we are genuinely entering the final saga.
Yeah,
man,
that's how I felt. I was like fuck.
Because even up like from post time skip to Dressrosa, it's still like, oh, we're getting introduced to the post time skip, but like it's still adventurous and like we're doing kind of island shit. But once we get to this point, we have like a direct end goal in mind. And it's like what? It's either like do world government stuff, then get One Piece, or get One Piece, then do world government stuff. That's all we have left in this story.
Yeah.
Or they both coincide into one conflict, you know? So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, this is just a good line.
Don't think I won't.
Yeah, I don't be myself. Don't think I won't.
Oh, I can't see the pedals anymore.
Oh no. Can Joe?
I can see him.
No. I'm pausing this. This won't do.
It's weird not to do.
Well,
what happened?
We're back. Bradley pissed himself.
We're back, bitches.
Don't think he wouldn't.
He promised he would. Okay. All right, getting to the end here. We're at like the hour 20 mark. We're making.
We're cruising
essentially. This is an emote in our Discord server, which one day you guys will have access to, listener. We just never open it for reasons. But this is a really good idea that Robin has. You don't have to get the whole fucking stone. You can make a print of it. And
I think Nakamushi says that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Or right here, yes.
Yeah.
And this is reinforcing that Robin's an important figure in this world, but also like the Straw Hats are so cute in this panel. I mean, come on. They love our girl.
I like Nami's face down here, and if they do, I'll take their life and their money.
Nami's not the one that usually threatens to fight. But for Robin, though?
Yep.
We also get the extra lore that the people of Wano, the Kazuki clan in particular, which is the clan that Odin and Momo are from, are the ones who created the Poneglyphs. Does this make you feel anything?
I mean, it was just kind of cool to figure out where they came from, but
Well, I think what's interesting about this is that if the Poneglyphs tell of the time before the Void Century, that means the Kazuki clan was part of that time or has records of that time, and then other records that they etch into the Poneglyph. This, to me, this implies that the Kazuki were part of either the ancient kingdom that, like, I feel like has been, like, hinted at and rumored that there was this ancient kingdom that broke up into the 20 kings, and then the celestial dragons took over Marijoa. Like, there's this whole history of One Piece that we're unraveling, and the Kazuki clan is definitely part of it. I think I'm also becoming more and more suspicious that the Skypians or their ancestors were also part of this long history, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And this clan seems to have ties with the D clan because, like, it seems like they erased the D, or like the meaning of the D, and like they say that the D is the god of is the enemy of the gods. So like there's this whole link with this Kazuki clan and like these historical figures that I'm just dying to figure out. More lore. We learn about Odin here in particular. Odin seems like a very cool guy, and he sailed with Gold Roger, which is some hot shit. This is not the first person we've met, but like it's just
which means him and Boogie are probably best friends.
They're best friends, which means him and Shanks know each other. And hey, Dog and Cat know Shanks, and they know Odin. Maybe Dog and Cat were talking about Roger earlier when they were talking about the person who was hearing the voices.
Man, I just want to see pictures of like the OG fucking Gold Roger crew having parties. You know just
you don't have to wait too long. I promise you.
Man, I'm just like imagine all those legends in one picture together.
We're getting very hyped up about the past with these reviews. I am. And then we concretely set the plot of Wano right here. So the plot of Wano is we're creating this big alliance and we're going to take down the Shogun of Wano and Kaido, who kind of hangs out in Wano.
Let's fucking go.
We got to open the borders.
And the whole end goal is to open the closed borders of our country. Let me wind back the clock a little bit, okay? And this is relevant because the current Phoenix Wright game I'm playing is also tied to this in its own way, okay? So in the 1900s, up until that point, Japan was staunchly a closed border nation. And it was around that time that they signed a treaty with Great Britain, which is a huge part of the plot already. I'm already in the second case of the first game of the Great Ace Attorney, but like this 1900s early like Japan bending to Great Britain is like a huge theme in that game already. And I feel like that Oda's really echoing this in Wano, which is, I don't know if it's made clear yet, Japan, I believe, used to be called Wano, right, Joe? That's how the history goes. Like at some point, it was like Nippon or like the land of Wano.
Well, it's always called
Anyway,
Nippon's its name. But yeah.
Wano is a direct like parallel to Japan and like kind of its culture, but put into the One Piece world. So opening the borders is just a cool plot point when you think about our real world history and like and what it's like for Japan. Woo! And then we're left with this like ace up our sleeve that's bolded, so we'll have to see what that's all about with the minks. The minks have like a secret weapon that they will unveil one day. And Luffy in this scene is really good because did you feel he was being too harsh on Momo here, where he's like, Momo, why are you in the background being a little bitch and not asking me for help yourself? Like, you're just assuming I'm going to help you? Like, man up. And he's doing this to an 8-year-old, right? So it's like...
But I think he realizes that he's like, this kid has to learn to be a leader, kind of like Luffy has had to learn to be a leader.
Yes.
I don't know. So I don't know. This kid has destiny.
And it also winds up with Luffy's moral philosophies where like he will not help somebody unless he's asked to help them. Because
he will go strongly coerce you to go ask for help.
Yes.
He'll be in front of you with the gun pointed to the bad guy's head being like, do you want help or no?
Well, like you even think back to Arlong Park where like Luffy sat to the sidelines and waited until Nami's like, I need your help. It's like, all right, let's go do it.
Yeah.
And, but I think it's he wants them to realize is that like, I'm going to stick around and I will help you when you want it, but I'm going to respect your decision until then.
Man.
He's emotional mastermind.
Emotional mastermind.
It's time and time again. Also, we talked about how he had to learn to be a leader. It was made a point by the one Mr. Morge, one of my favorite One Piece YouTubers, got great theories. That before Water 7, they never really had that undying faith in Luffy where they would call him captain. He was just the strongest guy that they were following. Yeah. Since Water 7, which back then when I was rereading, I was like, man, the theme of captainship is real and being a leader is really being hit in this arc. Since that point, they've really started like really using the word captain and started saying Luffy's going to become the Pirate King, not even that he's vying for it. Like, there's been this like very subtle but very apparent shift of like the Straw Hats really looking up to Luffy as both a captain, leader, and as a definitive like it's written in stone, this guy's the Pirate King kind of character. So like it's cool that he can now impart that knowledge onto Momo is the long and short of it.
Yeah.
All right, next up. Oh, shit.
Shit.
Oh, fuck. Where were we? No.
Oh, no. God. Not like this.
No.
What's happening?
I clicked away from the thing by accident, and we still got... Oh, my God. We got so much lore to go.
Oh, my God.
Okay. Also, I think there's an edit where Luffy has a joint in his hand in this panel, and he's like, Luffy passes you the boof. What do you do?
I like that.
So if that doesn't exist, please make it someone. Thank you. We create the Ninja Pirate Mink Samurai Alliance. Do we really need the ninja part?
And I saw this panel, and I was like, this is just building up one of the sides for the new Paramount War.
Yes. Now you're thinking like a One Piece reader. There you go. Also, like, ninja is just a broader term for samurai, so they're like, you don't really need the ninja part. Yeah. They lead with ninja, by the way. Yeah. They start with ninja because you start on your good foot.
Willer.
Yes.
Look at Luffy in that panel.
Yes, very good. Very good. Setup joke for... Okay, so they say we need to get Sanji back because he's got the strength of 1,000, and then Zoro's like, no, I got the strength of 2,000. And just these characters are so lovable.
Sure you are.
The thing about One Piece characters, I always say they're larger than life, so there's a lot of series where I think the characters are more realistic or human, but these characters are so well defined within their larger than life selves that they're kind of unlike anything that I can point to. Like, they're not like a Kaladin where I'm like, boy, your depression hits me too hard because it's too real. They're like, they're fucking paragons of humanity.
Yeah.
So Odin rode both on Roger and Whitebeard's ship. He is a legend among legends.
Fuck yeah.
He's an absolute Chad, and I'm very excited for you to learn more about him. We're getting more and more lore, but this is also a fun set of panels because it's like, oh, you guys all know Shanks and Rayleigh, and Frankie's like, oh, so you guys know Tom, and you wrote in Oro Jackson, and then Brooke is like, oh, so you also know Crocus, and Nami's like, wait, okay. We got like plot relevant things today to handle as opposed to just geeking out about the past. But like, think we're 800 chapters in and we're getting all these connections, and like a cool thing about One Piece is how fleshed out the past also feels, and like seeing where all those past figures ended up today is really fun. We talked about this earlier. This is interesting. It was the first time when I was reading One Piece that I realized that Roger did a double circumnavigation of the world.
Yeah, holy shit.
So, like, he got to the end, which is already a hell of a journey. Probably might have been easier back then if the Marines weren't as established, potentially.
True.
But then again, back then they had Garp at his peak, which is evidently a very scary thought.
But I guess also, like... I think back then there were definitely some powerhouses on the ocean, but I think the raw number of other pirate crews was probably a lot smaller.
Yeah, because we made it a point that the Great Age of Piracy didn't start, so any pirates back then, like fucking Brooke, were real-ass OGs.
They are some OGs.
Now it's cool to be a pirate.
Willard, to go back to your Wano thing, the reason... So it's a pun on what is the oldest recorded name for Japan, probably even was before like it was called Japan, called Wano Kuni.
Yes.
Where it's 3 different words. And so he took the first ones and put them together.
Well, in Japanese, they call it the Wano Kuni arc. Too. They straight up call it that because Kuni means country, I believe.
It means country of harmony.
Yeah. Very cool. The fuck did I get this for? Oh, just people gassing up Nami as the cool navigator that she is.
Did you get the page where they talk about the navigation section and how they've been that Nami questions about their navigational thing they've been doing?
I talked about that essentially, that they took a shortcut. I kind of glossed over it. So
I feel like that's also Oda coming in as the author saying, like, I understand I set this up. However, this is what we're doing to move forward now, but don't worry about it. We're still moving towards their goal. There's
absolutely. It's like, because for a while there, we're following like eternal log poses and Vivre cards, and Nami's like, we feels like we're like not doing it correctly anymore, and Oda's like, you're still making progress.
Yeah, you're still moving your way. You've just found essentially the answer at the end of the road that you would have to go back and do anyways.
This one's pretty interesting. Here we learn about the Payback War, which was a revenge grudge match where the Whitebeard pirates fought the Blackbeard pirates. The interesting part is that the Blackbeard pirates decimated them. Like, Blackbeard didn't seem that strong back then. It seems like he was squirming by. Bradley, did you get that sense that like Blackbeard was not like Whitebeard level by any means?
Yeah. I thought Blackbeard was like... He's extremely ambitious, so he's having to take big risks to get by. But now it sounds like he's like extremely established.
Yeah, like if he's beating Marco, who feels like Marco is really strong. To the point is like, Cat Viper's like, okay, we're going to split up into 4, and my whole thing is I'm going to go get Marco, because I'm sure he's going to want to help us, because we have history, and he's going to be an ally for us when we go to Wano. So, setting up all these threads, we got the clear path to the end goal, and I really like this point here where Kinamon's like, I wish I could go with y'all, but I do need to go head up the party that goes to Wano and get us situated there for when the rest of y'all show up. And it's easy to forget that Sanji really like went out of his way to care for Kinemon back in Punk Hazard. And it's cool because Sanji doesn't usually go out of his way for guys in general. So I'm glad that like that camaraderie that they had there still reflected within the text. This is just Oda's on his Japanese shit right now. I like fucking Kinemon back here.
Yeah.
Yo.
I like Sanji in his hands.
Yo.
Yeah, Sanji's got the weird side hand. Whoa, Carrot's looking a little saucy. All right, let's move on.
I know, I saw that. I was like, whoa.
So Zunisha starts talking to them, and it is overwhelming, but importantly, both Luffy and Momo can hear it.
This reminds me of, didn't something happen like this in Fishman Island?
Yes, it did, as a matter of fact. Because this is what happens to Shirahoshi. Keep in mind, Shirahoshi is Poseidon. And the voices of the Sea King start, like, terrifying her. This also happens, sort of, in Skypiea, where Aiza, the little girl, is overwhelmed by her mantra and being able to sense all the deaths around her. Now, we've theorized that mantra was just their understanding of observation hockey.
Yeah.
And this might be a form of observation hockey too. Or it could be this other thing, which the fan base has named the voice of all things, which is probably something that's come up at some point, but if not, it's going to come up as like a phrase later. But it's important that like they can talk to him. Okay, this elephant committed a great sin and was forced to walk the earth for the end of time. What the fuck is this lore? We're getting some weird shit now.
What kind of crime did this fucker commit?
And you gotta imagine that it is a harmless crime where he like didn't do something that he was supposed to. But this also makes me think, and I think I get it from this panel, give me the order to fight. So, also, this is gruesome because the drawing here makes it look like the leg was blown clean the fuck off. Like, Jack's battleships, like, destroyed his leg. I think that what happens here is the Ancient Kingdom, someone with the voice of all things, maybe Joy Boy. Do you remember Joy Boy, by the way, Bradley? Because you gotta.
I just remember a mention of the name.
Yeah, Joy Boy was mentioned in Fishman Island. And his whole thing is that he was a historic figure who promised the Mermaid Queen that he made a promise to her that he wasn't able to keep. I don't know if we know what that promise was.
I don't know.
I think it was to have him something about bringing Fishman Island to the surface, maybe.
It's very Joy Boy is like an incredibly important figure, and even I don't fully remember what happened to Fishman Island. So even I'm reminding all of us here to keep our minds of whenever Joy Boy is mentioned. But maybe someone like Joy Boy, if he had this control, or one of the ancient kings or the ancient kingdom, told Zunisha to walk. And it's only until Zunisha gets an equivalent like command from someone of equivalent like importance in the world that it can deviate. And for some reason, Momo has this control. Like, Momo can order the commands that can override the command to endlessly walk. Ooh. This makes Momo seem incredibly important to me.
Oh, yeah.
And then the command goes through and fucking body. This is the third beat I was talking about, Trunk Attacks, where he demolishes that mink who wants to talk, and then it's blocked twice by the kings, and then he gets a taste of his own medicine by Zunisha, and it feels very intentional because that is a lot of Trunk Attacks.
Now I need Zunisha versus Kaido 1v1. Final destination.
The answer might surprise you.
Let's go.
Land, sea, or on air. If it's a one-on-one, always bet Kaido. That's what that box told us in his introduction. Yeah. And if the box told us, that's just a fact, baby.
That's the God voice.
Land, sea, or air.
Yeah. If it's one-on-one.
Jesus Christ.
Always bet. Is that not the coolest saying, though?
That actually is really fucking cool.
The interesting thing is the C part, all things considered.
Yeah, it really is. Oh, air. How the fuck is he fighting in the air? I guess no flamingo can. But...
Well, we got Shave. We got Moonwalk.
Yeah.
And here's the 4 parties we'll be splitting up into.
Man, how cool.
So we're going to say bye to Zoro, Robin, Frankie, and Usopp.
And Brooke.
And
not Brooke.
No, not
Brooke.
Not Brooke. Not Brooke. Which is cool because I believe that is exactly everyone who was in Dressrosa. So Oda did it smart. He's like, there's a lot of characters I want to introduce, and I don't want to stretch the Straw Hats too thin. So what he did is he put one group in Dressrosa and one group in Whole Cake. So he's like, I'm going to do 2 big arcs and split the Straw Hats in half. Nami gets an upgrade with our climate baton thanks to meeting up with Usopp, and this will be cool because that'll be an upgrade that she can use in her time in Whole Cake Island.
Yeah.
And this is just a very cute gag. Now, as for the cost of minerals, Mirage Tempo.
We don't get Usopp on this trip either.
No, I believe I said Usopp.
Okay.
And man,
yeah,
I talk about Vivi often because I just really miss her because like
don't we all?
She was never like straw hat, but she's a straw hat, and it's just like it feels like if we were missing any other straw hat, obviously it would feel like a hole in your heart, right? And I feel like there's been a Vivi shaped hole, and she's sailing.
Fun fact about that, so there's something called the Vivre cards, which are like you buy a card pack that has like One Piece lore. Now thing about the Vivre cards is they're somewhat like there's occasionally inconsistencies with them with the story, but usually they're a good source of supplementary information. In the Vivre cards, Vivi is considered a full-ass Straw Hat, but I believe the word is like used like as retired or unavailable. There's a word that implies like dead-ass Straw Hat, but not a part of the crew sailing. However, in this bit here where we see Vivi again, she does this jump off the top of the ship and effortlessly lands on her feet. That girl been training with Chaka and Pell to be a good fighter, potentially. Look, all I'm saying is, by end of series, Vivi is full board on the ship.
Man.
Pirate Princess Vivi.
Pirate Princess Vivi.
I was about to make like a very weird comparison with the Pokemon anime for Vivi. But
no, go ahead.
I guess I'll do it anyway. In the first like in like the first season of the first Pokemon anime, the one that's just all of Kanto. Man, like obviously Ash has like his core crew that he always travels with, Charmander, like Pikachu, Charmander, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, Pidgeotto. And I always felt like his Muck was part of that main crew.
Oh man.
But it stayed with Professor Oak, and like every single time he called to Oak, Muck was there, and he'd be like, "Hey Muck," and I'm like, I don't know, that's what it feels like to me. Like they are part of the main crew, but they just haven't been in the main crew for so long.
Same with Tauros and Primeape.
Yeah, Ash brought Muck back in his fights against the.
So, I was just thinking that in Gen 3, Muck comes back for the final Gary fight, like of that.
Muck is one of Ash's OGs. Like they were such good friends.
You know, I don't like the Pokemon anime, but the one thing that will always get me hype is seeing what Pokemon Ash uses in the tournaments at the end, because he always brings back unexpected. Like you'll see Swellow come back, you'll see Kingler come back. It's like you have more Pokemon than Kingler, bud, but he's back.
Kingler's so cool. That's a pull, man.
I know, and then he still does it to this day. I think even in these current arcs, he'll do the Charizard. Always comes back for his cameos. He's like an exhibition fighter.
Charizard's so cool when he does show up, though.
Anyway, speaking of the other greatest story of all time, not Pokemon, but One Piece.
Yes.
This had so much nostalgia for me, seeing all these Alabasta people, but also seeing Hina and Full Body and Django.
Yeah.
And what's cool is this is the arc where Hina gets introduced and when we like see Full Body and Django. So like just some nice nostalgia.
This is more of I saw this page too, and this was more of me sitting here like, Man, I feel like these people are going to show up at our new and improved Paramount War.
Right around the corner, bud.
It's right around the corner. Only a couple more years, right?
And what's cool is, so Hina is going to be taking the Nefeltari family to the Revelry, which means we're going to probably see other prominent Marine figures pull some of our other like kings and queens that are like setting up, because we saw Dalton, we saw the Dressrosa kingdom, we saw Shirahoshi is like the big get, but I'll talk about her in a sec. Does the Goa kingdom and the name Stelly ring a bell to you?
I don't think so.
The Goa kingdom is where Luffy grew up.
That's right. That's right.
Stelly is the name of Sabo's adopted brother.
Oh, what the fuck? That's why they don't show his face right here.
Now be gone from my sight, trash.
Oh, trash. Specifically using the word trash right there.
Ooh, that is good. What the fuck is going on with this guy's chin?
I was just about to say, he's got a fucking hotel in
I was like, is he a cheese grater?
No, yeah, he's a hotel man. He ate the hotel food. Dude, I like how like they did show like all the other kings and queens, but Shirahoshi gets the big page. How come, like, no matter what everyone has to complain about Fishman Island, which as time goes on, I think I like Fishman Island more and more, just saying. But I think, like, despite on paper, Shirahoshi should be the worst character, how come we all love her?
Man, back to
so
my one true love.
Because she go into a shark.
Because she go into shark. That honestly did a lot for a lot of people.
I got a plan.
God damn.
She's very funny. I love Shirahoshi. And she will also be going. Carrot is on the ship. She's also coming with us. And she has a lot of funny gags here where she's like, I brought all this stuff to help for the trip. It should last me like a day. And then they're like, oh, no, sailing takes a while. And just the sense of adventure that she immediately has is like, can you join the Straw Hats, Carrot? I would not mind. Would Bradley mind? Would that be too much to have all the time? We haven't talked about Carrie yet in particular.
Well, specifically in terms of joining the Straw Hats, she has to earn her stripes first.
Okay, we'll see how that goes.
Fair.
All right.
Cool.
Luffy, like, I guess he just never saw his dad, and he's not the best looker.
He might have seen him back in Logetown because
he was shrouded. I feel like only the camera got to really see like Dragon's face back in Logetown.
Fair.
The revolutionaries. So what happened? In the beginning of the arc, we see Jesus Burgess land there, and then he leaks the location of Baltigo, and then Baltigo headquarters gets obliterated apparently. So this revolutionary storyline is very consistently getting, like in this post-time skip, getting like peppered in. I feel like our big Paramount War will have a lot to do with the revolutionaries whenever that does happen.
Yeah.
So we find out that Jack is actually a fishman, and because he ate a devil fruit, the very interesting scenario of like he's just down here like cars until he gets rescued.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure the Kaido pirates will come for their boy. He's Jack the Drought. We also get to see Kid is under a prison in Kaido's territory.
Yeah.
Now, the last time we saw Kid, Kaido just landed from the sky right in front of him and Apu and who else? Hawkins.
Hawkins, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, they're not in prison with him. Interesting. He's fucked up. Oda making it very clear that we need Sanji. Luffy cooked, and the fact that they even entertain this idea is foolish because he also used all the food in his failed attempts. He also called it a kitchen sink curry, which for some reason made me think he made this in a sink. Now I get it; it's like everything but the kitchen sink, but also I don't put it past Luffy to have this inside the sink.
I can see him lighting the sink on fire underneath of it.
The ship catches on fire shortly after this. Yeah. We get introduced to Pudding,
and I know I was just saying Shirahoshi's my one true love, but that was a long time ago. So.
You know what they say. You know, you got to move on.
Love moves on.
But it also just made me so sad because I saw how pretty she was. I was like, oh, Sanji, by all accounts, should be happy. And then I was like, you know what? No, she's probably a shitty person. And then we get to actually meet her, and I'm like, oh, I'm really sad.
That sadness, my friends, a story for next time.
Man.
To close us off, I like this little character design detail that Sabo has his hair long to kind of hide his scar from certain angles.
God, and that's another thing where I'm like, this full universe is just simulated in Oda's head.
Guys, this is the perfect segue to my story.
Oh, let's go.
Okay. All right. So the TLDR is that the entire time I was reading One Piece up until Dressrosa, I thought Sanji and Sabo were the same person.
What do you mean?
Hold on, Joe, you gotta explain yourself.
So when I started reading One Piece was around the time Jump Force was doing its advertisements. And so I was reading, I remember Sanji, and then Sabo showed up in one of the advertisements, and Sanji at the time, remember, has his left eye covered. and so I see Sabo on there, and he's the only other blonde person I've ever seen in One Piece at the time. And so I was like, oh, Sanji must be Sabo. It's some weird, like maybe he has amnesia, or maybe he's a spy, or some other kind of stuff. Because he looks dapper, like he looks like something Sanji might wear. Because he's very like he has a suit.
I guess Sanji gets more steampunky when the series goes on.
I was like, okay, whatever. And he said something about Luffy, like, I'm sorry we had to fight this way, Luffy. Like maybe there's a betrayal or whatever. And so
go on.
And so as I keep going, like all the evidence like keeps on going up to this where like Sanji's like super spy, like he's sneaking around, he's like infiltrating like Crocodile's hideout and doing all this other ninja shit. And then during the advertisements we see Sabo use the fire fruit and he has fire abilities. And we get to Innie's lobby and Sanji brings up Diablo Jumble and lights himself on fire. I was like, oh my god,
it's coming together.
It's coming together. And then we get to the flashback, and I'm like, oh well, Luffy will have recognized them, I guess. I'm like, no, wait, he didn't recognize Usopp as Sniper Kings. There's no way he would have recognized them now.
Man.
Oh my god,
that's actually really funny.
Okay, there's a funnier part to this story.
And then we get to Sabaody Archipelago, and Sanji's hair flips. I'm like, oh, he probably gets the scar later in some weird fight. Because then Luffy, like it's obviously a burn scar, and Luffy busts out Red Hawk. And it's like, oh, Luffy must punch him in the eye with that and gets him burn.
This is getting so deep.
I know, shit.
And then we finally we get the Dressrosa, and he shows up like, wait, what?
You want to know what the best part of the story is?
What?
There's 6 playable characters from One Piece and Jump Force, okay?
Yeah.
It goes Luffy, Zoro, Blackbeard, Hancock, Sabo, and Sanji. So Sanji was in the same game that he got confused with.
Goddamn.
Well, like,
and then they added Law's DLC.
Yeah. I didn't see Sanji at all in any of the advertisements.
That's just like, really funny that Sanji was in the game that confused you.
Yeah. Well, like,
that's really funny.
And like when I saw Sabo, I was like, oh, I got spoiled on this. I should stop seeing any Jump Force things.
By the way, Bradley, you have the free okay to do all the Jump Force content that you may or may not want to do. So, because
I think the game I'm holding out for is Pirate Warriors 4, and also Treasure Cruise.
You got one?
Oh, dude, Treasure Cruise is super fun.
Yeah.
So the old cause Jump Force, the one spoiler would have been Gear 4 and Sabo having the fire fruit, and that's about it. And Blackbeard's design actually, which you haven't seen, so never mind.
Oh fuck.
Well, you'll see that too. But once you get past Whole Cake, you're set for.
There we go.
All gaming content. Well, you got to read like the first 20 chapters of Wano, and then you're good set.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, that's today's session of One Piece. Thank you for joining me, you two, and thank you for joining me, all listeners in the world. I really like Zou. Bradley, give us your Zou rating since we've been keeping track.
Oh man, it was. That's a really weird one. I hadn't thought about it yet.
Yeah.
I think it gets brought up just a lot by the end of it because we get so much world building. I'll give it a 4.
Yeah.
No, actually 3.5. I can't give the Minx above a 4
for his own sanity, even though inside himself he's not that hateful.
I do love them as people, but I can't let the I can't let people out there think I'm a furry sympathizer.
Now, shout outs to Rindo Baka. They are a common commentator in our stuff, and their avatar is Carrot, and they love Carrot.
Now, see, that's the thing. I've been really torn up about Carrot because I can't tell if I think she's cute, the cutest thing ever, or not cute at all.
Hold that thought. Post Whole Cake Island, we'll have this conversation again.
As long as you cover her face, I'm like, she's the cutest character in One Piece.
I also, while we're here, I'm gonna shout out Feferidon because he's and Fenrexter. Those are and Emperor Luffy. Those are OGs. Okay, bye.
Yeah, they've been around for a long time.
Bye.